Hello, everybody. Wrestling Around Podcast, episode 30. Card subject to change. I apologize for the late, for being quite a little late, but it's a little. I just kind of forgot and stuff. Um, but let's kind of talk a little bit before we talk to our guest. Um, well, so let's talk a little bit about a certain individual that recently, and that's Brock Lesnar. Brock Lesnar, man. I remember when I first got into wrestling, he was facing he was facing Goldberg at WrestleMania 33. And now he retired against Oba and passed the torch. No wonder he said, Oba's the future, and I am the past. It was a true passing the torch moment. It was completely took everybody by surprise. Let's just say that. So, let me tell you, since then, between Brock's career, he will definitely be remembered. And you know what? Despite him being mentioned in the Janelle Grant lawsuit indirectly, he will definitely have a career worth remembering. He's a one of a kind. He's probably one in a million. He's one in a million, honestly. But so honestly, rest in peace. Not rest in peace. Oh, sorry. I kind of segued off. Brock Lesnar, enjoy your career. Enjoy your post life career. Go back to your ranch and just be Brock. You know? Just be Brock. That's no other words. Honestly. No other words to describe it. So we'll have a one of our guests on in shortly. So we've lost a legend recently. Dory Funk Jr., son, a part of the legendary Funk family in Texas, with his brother Terry Funk and his father Dory Funk Sr. And I don't personally remember him, but I do know he's gotten a lot of people that he trained to step in the ring today. And he had that match in Japan with Atsushi Onita. And that was 2023 or 24. But I do remember a little clip of that he was able to wrestle, that he was wrestling. So, let me tell you something. Everything that has to have done with wrestling Terry Funk left his mark, and so did Dory. Dory, no matter if you see him as just a legend, if you just see him as one of the Funks, him and Terry, he will definitely be missed by the people who trained him, who were trained by him, people who were mentored by him, people who shared the locker room with him, and people who shared their moments, their moments with it, and cherishing. Dory, may you rest in peace, and hope that wrestling, that squared circle in the sky, you and Terry Funk are knocking it up in the wrestling ring. Who knows? You might be having a match with Scott Hall. You might be meeting Scott and getting Scott Hall more for his money. They kind of having a match with him. Maybe maybe Brian Pillman. All those legends. Bruno Sammartino. Probably not that far back, but the Funks have gone so long throughout their history. Probably 70s or early 80s they got their start. So it's so long ago. But we're going to have two guests on shortly. One is a Chikara alumni. One part of the colony in Chikara, in the Chikara wrestling promotion. It is no longer in business. I don't know what happened to it, honestly. But this person was actually well known. Honestly, doesn't. He honestly, I don't know what. Obviously, I don't know. But I don't. That's the first one that comes to mind. Worker Ant is his name. Part of the colony of ants, the ant colony. Get it? Yeah, it's gotta make sense. As they made up the rest of the. So there's people that he teamed with that are in the colony, including Drew Gulak, Orange Cassidy, Tracy Williams. And that is a litany of people. Who knows? He might actually have, he has wrestled quite a bit of people. Got some guys here that are wrestling today that have wrestled right here. There's so much, honestly. But yeah, we'll be back at an intermission. Where was I? Oh yes, this person has wrestled known worker ant or the assailant. Apparently, there's two worker ants, but this one, there's people that have known in Chikara that this guy has wrestled. I could list them. Not all of them are from Chikara, but there's one name that's synonymous with Chikara wrestling, and that is Mike Quackenbush, if I'm not mistaken. He, in reckless youth, owned Chikara up until its inception. So from its inception to its closing. I honestly wonder what happened to it. I've learned about it in a video, but I know a little bit about it. It's more a lot of action, a little more storyline, a little more action wise. I would like to wonder what it's like in a Chikara locker room. So anyway, this guy has wrestled people like Rachel Ellering, Alex Reynolds, Eddie Kingston, Delirious, The Boar, which I've met before a couple times, Duke the Dumpster Drosy, Dalton Castle, Black G's. He calls himself the Black Blue. No, the Hold on, let me actually get the nickname here. The Big Blue Bruiser. The Big Blue Bruiser. So I will like see what it's like from a person who has been in Chikara. He's currently injured right now. But honestly, if you look up the colony of pro wrestling, they are all masked, basically luchadors. But I don't know much about them, to be honest. I don't know much about them to call them luchadors. But you know what? That's just a assumption that they are. You know? And no, this is a little bit spontaneous because I haven't really prepping, and I kind of little slacking a bit, but you know what? We're here. So I'm just in the middle of making dinner as well, but you know what? Real life gets in the way of things, but I'm gonna roll with the punches. So I'm hoping whenever it happens. So there's another person, Sal Rinauro will be also on soon. That is our next guest. But honestly, we don't know. Those two are veterans of the game, both Worker Lamb and Sal Rinauro. Sal Rinauro had a match with PJ Hawks and Justin Carino. I watched one of their matches back. It was in 2021 where PJ Hawks won. That's the son of Luke Hawks. It's the second generation. It's also Justin Carino. Another no, Colby Carino. I don't know why I was thinking Justin. Colby Carino. But you know what? The only guy, it's a worker ant. When I looked up his name, there's not really not much videos. But you know what? I'm gonna be learning quite a bit today when he comes in. When this guest comes in, the wire. So I'm just mentally kind of preparing myself because anything can happen. You know, life gets in the way of things. So hopefully everything goes smoothly. So, without further ado, the person, the person who is going to be joining me shortly is a man that has been a part of the Chikara roster for many, many years. He has been he has been wrestling to this day, but currently he's not wrestling at the moment. But he's definitely watching this right now. And he is not one to kind of be messed with. But like the rest of the people that he worked in the colony, they're definitely going to be making their mark on the indie scene. Definitely going to be making their mark when they get back in the ring, whenever that may be. And that's my pleasure to introduce the Big Blue Bruiser, 1/4 or 5th of the colony, formerly in Chikara, a Chikara alumni, Worker Ant. Welcome to the show, Worker Ant. Nice to have you.
How you doing,
You know,
boss? How's everything?
that's good. This is the first making history, kind of the first I don't know, would say luchador. Would I call you that? I know.
Yeah,
I
that's
yeah.
about right.
I okay. I'm just I don't want to mischaracterize. In wrestling, they always characterize with the mat because you and fellow members of the colony have masks on, but not necessarily. They're all like they were from the luchador style, like Chad Gable. He's a cruiserweight,
Oh,
but he held that El Grande Americano
yes.
before Ludwig Kaiser took it. So, I mean, technically, you could call him in some definitions. He could be a luchador if he put Braun the mask on and El Grande Americano. But they already had that match in the
Yeah.
AAA. But I can just make sure I'm not mischaracterizing.
No,
So
you're good.
I heard a little bit about you on you were part of Chikara. Is that right?
Yes, sir. I was.
Well, tell me what it was like in Chikara. I know it's not not it's not working, not in operation anymore. Like
Yeah.
a few years ago, and went out of business. So how was it like, Chikara?
It was really fun. I had a unorthodox way of getting in there. I basically pestered Mike Quackenbush at a Dragon Gate USA show that I was doing a seminar in. So this would have been like my first full year um, outside of training, going professional at that time, and
Ah,
I was able to meet a few people along the way, like within that show. But that was the first time I've seen Mike Quackenbush wrestle a Chikara style match. I don't remember who was in the match per se, but it was I believe Jigsaw, Ricochet was there, and Grand Akuma, and I believe Icarus. But Grand Akuma is the one who pointed me in Chikara's direction, and so when I did, got a chance to to talk to Mike. Uh, I kind of what we saw vision wise in wrestling was kind of like aligned, so I decided to roll with them to see what they had to offer because that was the style of wrestling I wanted to really get into, sink my teeth into. And he just did it so well and so elegantly. Uh, and a lot of the guys that he trained, they all wrestled very similar to him. But what was cool is that just everybody had their own style. You know, they ended up making their own niches and sub niches when it comes to their gimmicks and their characters. And I really like that. They were real. You resonate to them. You realize that at that time, you know, there was a lot of guys who were better than me, and it was good to see that because if not, then I would have just been one of these conceited guys getting into wrestling for the first time, trying to see, you know, what you know, like I'm better than everybody, this and that, and it was great to see that there was so many people that were vastly better than what you know I had to offer at that time, and it only made me work harder to try to get up to their level. So yeah, it was really fun. It was a healthy competition in training on the show, and it was just you know we were always trying to one up each other, and it was always so much fun doing that, learning in the process, understanding the business both in and out. It was just so good. I've always loved my time in Chikara. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, there's I can tell you had some fun. There was a I watched a little bit of your promo work and where there was this match that you I think you and your fellow colony members stable was in. I think it was this guy named Michael Nakazawa, I think his name, where he was doing like pretending like he was oiling up his chest and I don't know if you know what I'm talking about, like where he's trying you're I think you were trying to one of your mates was trying to do a lockup and then he pretending to slip acting like he
Oh,
was like
oh
slipping
yeah,
on the baby oil.
yeah. Yeah.
When I watched that, there's and then the fans were like, get a towel, and then they're trying to do that type of
Yeah.
that
No,
type of
that's what we were about, man. Like it was really cool. One I think one of the things that I always aligned myself up with Chikara is the idea that, you know, even though wrestlers are athletic combatants in those rings, at the same time they can also be great storytellers, and that's what they always want us to do, tell a great story. And I'm all about that. You know, I'm always honed in. Uh, Stories of all sorts of genres and ways to consume entertainment. You kind of like just put all that stuff together and you start getting into a lot of things, you know, and they were really into that, and we love telling a story, we love having fun. You know, most of the time a lot of the wrestlers there were always trying to just make each other laugh during that, and the 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 fans would notice those like little subtleties, what we were trying to do in the ring, and they would love it so much that once they start laughing, it almost felt to them like they were part of an inside joke, and it was so much
yeah.
fun. It was so great doing
Did,
that. Guys like you know
did,
the guys from the Gentleman Club, for example, those guys, you know, Drew Gulak, Chuck Taylor, Swamp Monster, Orange Cassidy, right? Those guys, they could tell a great story, but man,
yeah,
they did some funny stuff.
yeah.
What was 3.0
It's-
as well? Yeah, those
yeah,
guys,
that's
I love
currently on
them.
AEW television.
Yeah, yeah.
That's
So
that thing.
it's
A lot of
it's so much fun. It was just
yeah,
it was always a good time.
yeah. There's the colony stable you had the privilege of being a part of, included quite a couple names that went on to various promotions, like Orange Cassidy,
Mm,
Drew Gulak, Tracy Williams,
mm,
like those three names that come to mind. Uh, what was so Mike Quackenbush? I believe I know he was the own. He was basically the owner of Chikar. He was basically, and now he just does like training videos, like talking to like inspiring pro wrestlers.
Yeah.
and he still wrestles on the side. Um, when I'm asking, what was the initial idea for the colony stable
Oh
in
well.
Chikara?
Yeah. So I can't really say about what was the original idea
Oh, you
for
don't,
it. I
you know,
think
whatever
it.
you can
Yeah,
disclose.
yeah.
You don't have to. You
It's
don't have
it's one
to
of
pull
those
back
things
the
that
curtain like Unreal is.
it's one of those things that like by the time I got into the company, the stable of the colony, they were already established, right? From it going with fire and soldier into worker ant number one, and then later on green ant number one. Uh, so by the time I came in, at least three out of those four were still doing the whole thing, and I was just trying. I was just trying to figure out where I was going to be, this and that. So, my storyline coming in was I was part of a heel faction known as Gekido, and a sub a subgroup within that group was we were all doppelgangers, but me and two of my partners were doppelgangers of the colony, so we were called the Swarm. So um, I was assailant, while there were who was it? It was deviant and combatant. But yeah, I was assailant, and we wanted to take over the positions of a lot of the current stars in Chikara. So that's how I came in. A very unconventional way. We had a little bit of like an NWO style, kind of outsiders esque type of way coming in. Uh, but when it comes to like the idea of the colony, I think it was just to have fun in that sense. Honestly, like a lot of the characters, I feel like were made, for whatever reasons. But I think the idea was that it gravitated eyes towards the product that we were trying to deliver, and I feel that the colony, that's what it was, and it kind of like just morphed into its own thing, and it just at some points it felt like it grew uncontrollably. But yeah, I think it was, for the most part, I believe the colony and a lot of the other stables and characters were made just to have a great story mixed in with some fun, you know.
Oh, that's quite a lot to digest there. But you know what? It's definitely insightful. But so when you were starting out in the business, when you started out and when you ended up getting into the Chikara roster
Mhm.
for many years, how would what? So there's a question and a follow up. One, what what in which wrestler kind of basically was your motivator to just like, you know what, how about I pursue a career in professional wrestling?
Mhm.
And the second follow-up question I have is, what basically got you into the Chikara promotion? What did Mike Quackenbush basically was like, this guy has potential, we could put him in our future program?
Well, uh, the guys who got me into thinking that I could do this, I wasn't thinking more of a full time. I wanted to see what was happening. I was fresh out of college, and I was trying to figure out what I was going to do next. Um, and I was thinking of maybe picking up photography or something. I was going at the time for video was it media arts and animation. So I was trying to be a video game designer at some point, and then a little bit of that stuff kind of fell through, and so I was trying to figure out what was next, and then the opportunity presented itself for me to get into wrestling, like do some training, and everybody who knew me at the time, they knew how much I absolutely loved professional wrestling. So so I went in, and guys who actually who I felt uh, helped me, believe in myself on thinking that I could do this. Um, were guys like Rey Mysterio and Eddie
Yeah.
Guerrero and Kane, because I always used to love, the really off size guys who can get in the ring, hang with all of the best of them. Like Kane was a big guy and he was just doing very agile and athletic things. And I absolutely love that. Yeah, even hearing the story of like Big Show once before when he got into the WWE, how they said that he showed Vince how to like how a big man can moonsault off the top rope. He did it once and he was like, "That's great, but just because you can do that doesn't mean you have to, right?" So like the
Yeah.
idea, like seeing big guys like that doing very agile and athletic things, I thought,
Yeah.
man, I could do something like that. And then you got little guys, Eddie Guerrero, Rey
Yeah.
Mysterio, you know, those guys, Dean Malenko, these guys were just running house all the time, and I absolutely just adored the way they wrestled. And at that time, I didn't know that there was different styles of wrestling. I just thought wrestling was just all around. So I just that's all I thought it was. I didn't know there was lucha libre and catch as catch can and all that stuff. So those are the guys who got me into it. And then as far as when it comes to Mike and his thought process towards me, it was the idea was I already had some form of training under my belt, so I was treated just a tad bit different, but like it wasn't this exaggerated degree of difference. It was just me going in, and I told him I was like he was trying to help me out uh, in every way he could, and I told him I appreciated that, but I wanted to act like this was my first time like going to training, not just with him, just in general, because I wanted to learn exactly how everybody else did, because I need to know from the ground up. I can't start 5 levels up. You know what I mean? Like it was just I needed to start from the very ground and work my way up. And he granted that to me, and I think he just appreciated the honesty I had about the whole idea of potentially being on Chikara. And he helped me wherever he could, and most of the time it was always in that ring training, learning things. They were helping me cut promos. Oh my god, I used to have like 4 guys behind the camera trying to help me, like, all right, make sure you say this, make sure you do this, say it like this, do it like that. It was all over the place all the time, and it was always fun, and I always appreciated everyone's help, because man, it really does, especially in Chikara, it really did feel like it took a village to build that place up you know
So, so out of the colony stable, like I just mentioned, the three guys, Miss Williams, Cassidy, and Gulag. Do you guys? I know. With those, there's also like a professional relationship to kind of like make sure you got your shtick in, you got your spots in, like make sure the fans are happy and just go home. Do you have the people of the colony stable like kept in touch with each other beyond like professional, as it has the relationship between y'all like garnered more of a personal relationship, like borderline personal relationship rather than business or professional related?
hmm. we're we all think of each other as brothers. That's as plain and simple as that. We do keep into contact with one another. They're they're always doing good. They're always keeping tabs on me, see what's going on. Everything is all good. If you're asking, we got our own group chat. Yeah, maybe we do. But like, it's one of those things that like, you know, we catch up when we need to, but it's almost like uh, we pick up right where we left off. You know, um,
Yeah.
we're we're just we love each other. We truly do. Those guys, they they had such a tight knit before I came in, and then after it was difficult for me to kind of gel with them. But once I did, um, that I literally do consider them my brothers. They're everything. I love them to death. You know.
Wow. That's well, sounds like there's this camaraderie that this like the general sense of a camaraderie between even some people, like the majority of wrestlers that work with each other have like this, you know, the brother brother relationship kind of thing, even though, they're not a blood brother, but they're a brother brother and that
Yeah.
type of thing in the ring. They know what to do. Like, so if you if you were to like get in the ring, obviously you're not because you're injured. You told me behind the scene. You're right. If you after you got healed, if you gotten to get in that ring, what type of dream opponent would you like to have with somebody? Like if it were to be anybody on the indie scene or in major companies, which one would it be?
No, I still say major company is always going to be Rey Mysterio. It's hands down. I've always wanted to test my metal against him. To keep up with him, just to, if that ever happens.
Yeah.
In the indies, there's there's a few of them. I also on television as well. Real quick, also I would always love to get in the ring or back in the ring with Eddie Kingston. He's
Oh,
he's a good guy to learn off of and understand
yeah.
and bounce your character off of his. He's
Yeah.
so
Yeah.
good.
Kingston's like a no nonsense type of character.
Yeah,
He's
yeah,
he comes at you swinging
yeah,
just like him and John Moxley would.
yeah. That's so true.
Yeah, and
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 on the indies, um, I probably would say two of them come to mind, and it's funny because it's for two different reasons. But like the first one's Cheeseburger. Uh,
ah,
Cheeseburger, me and him, we started. I believe we started the same year, um, and he once Chikara I think left. I want to say it was the ECW arena when we were training down there. Once we left there, and we were still in the middle of trying to find another place. Ring of Honor at the time opened their doors to us, and so it was funny. Around that time, I was also injured, and we go in, and I met the scrawny kid, and he's over here training with guys like Delirious, right, and the Briscoes,
eh,
and stuff like that. Wow, and he's keeping up, and he just keeps doing his thing, keeps getting better and better. Now all of a sudden he's he's world renowned. He's been all over the place. He has his own training facility. All of his kids is
yeah,
going up. He's a great individual, a great person to always be around, a great person to network with. Um, and I've always wanted to get in the ring with him. Always. I feel like me and him, we could really put magic together. And then the other one
yeah.
would be I'm pretty sure you know him yourself, Marcus Mathers. Uh,
Hmm.
Marcus Mathers. The reason why is because when I first started, um, I I started training in a facility in New Jersey, and his father was there, and he was wrestling, and I believe his father still wrestles from time to time nowadays. Um, but Mark Angel, that's his name, and we became good friends. And anytime we had a show or something like that, his sons were always there, and Marcus was always there. So I've known Marcus since he was like, I don't know, 11, and just seeing him grow up to the fine performer and gentleman that he is. Um, I've always appreciated that of him, and I would always love to get in the ring with a class act such as Marcus. You know, so yeah, those probably be my four that I could think of right now.
Well, if you were to get signed, if you were to pick any like the major companies that you would want to wrestle for, if it were be WWE, AEW, TNA, or Ring of Honor, maybe maybe some maybe those Mexican like AAA or CMLL.
Yeah.
Since you're in the lucha libre type of wrestlings.
Yeah.
Which major company would you like to would have if there were many contracts right in front of you like on your desk, which major company would you like to sign with? Like if you're thinking hypothetically.
Yeah. I probably would like to try my metal down at in Mexico. So yeah, like places like AAA and CMLL would be great. I would love to get picked up. You know, if this was like a few years back, right? um, I would probably love to work a little bit at like New Japan. Uh, New Japan was that one. It was funny. Um, that's an interesting one to me because like I didn't. Uh, Wrestling by itself is a universal language amongst wrestlers and fans. And what I what I didn't know was that there are a lot of people from Japan who know how to speak like Spanish, right? And seeing that happen once at a King of Trios where there was a bunch of translators running around trying to help people out, and we were who was it? It was the Colony. It was me, Green Ant, Fire Ant, and we were going to wrestle. Who was it? It was Mako Satomura, the Sendai Girls, and
She
we were going to
recently
wrestle.
retired recently. Miko Satomura
Yeah, yeah, she's
is
amazing.
yeah.
And the cool thing about that was she well we were match one, and we didn't have no one to translate what we were trying to tell each other. And then while the other ants were trying to find someone, and I real and then I started talking to them at one point while we were stretching out prior to all that, to find out that they heard me say something in Spanish, and then they started laughing, and then I was talking to them, and then to find out that they knew Spanish, and I didn't
Oh,
understand why at first. And they explained to me it's because a lot of times they usually wrestle a lot of people from Mexico, so to kind of like
yeah,
cover that whole barrier, that language barrier, they learned
yeah,
Spanish, and I thought that was amazing. So we fast forward to us before that show. I mean, us before our match. They're like, "Oh, we don't got a translator yet and stuff," and I'm like, "What's up? What's going on?" They're like, "Oh, we don't know what to call yet," and I was like, "Just tell me, I'll tell them." And then they're like, "Oh, okay, cool," and they told me what they wanted to. I said it to them in Spanish. They understood it, and then I related back to the ants in English, and it was one of the most amazing things that I've ever seen in my entire life. And I loved it so much that I could, in my mind, I'm like, man, I can never get enough of that. So I would, just because of that, aside from the fact that have great wrestlers at New Japan all the time, killing it all over. I think that would be my own personal reason as to why I would love to do some work up there with them. Yeah, yeah, I do miss them. They're really good people.
sorry, sorry about that. Sometimes real life gets in the way of things. I don't want to for an interruption. I know sometimes real life gets in, kind of blends into actual wrestling itself, kind of
Yeah.
blurring the lines. So I'm just letting you know. And if I turn on off my camera or mute myself, if it's other like in real life blending into this. So I just then I didn't want to be this
I
feel
got
like you disrespect.
no problems, dude, whatsoever.
Well,
You're good.
well, well. There was many opponents that you've faced throughout your career. I could list them off here.
Hmm.
like like um like you just said, Eddie Kingston is one of those people. Joey Janela is with that Joey Janela. We, we got Dalton Castle.
Oh yeah,
Is
oh
that
yeah,
is that one?
partners.
Oh, uh, Let's see. This guy named Mark Anglicetti
Oh, Mark Angelicetti, Mr. Touchdown. Yeah, a good
is a
name.
former football player.
Yeah.
Um, this uh, some independent wrestlers like Tony Deppen and Black G's.
Mm. Mm. Oh yeah, that's right.
Yeah, just writing these down when with they're it's on this cagemed.net. They kind of document the wrestlers like careers and their individual matches. That's kind of gotten this information from. Trying to make sure, I know it's not completely accurate, but just kind of writing off
Yeah.
like these like obviously like Alex Reynolds,
Alex Reynolds.
John
Yes.
Silver, those the of
Yes.
the formerly of the Dark Order. Yeah, I know. I'm not sure. I don't know if they're still with the AEW. I believe they are still, and I know they're still doing independent dates. I know they're not
Yeah.
retired.
Yeah. No,
um,
they're. I think last time I saw them was ROH. I think the last time.
ROH, like at a show that you attended, or
You're talking like I'm talking about like ROH, the one that's owned by AEW right now.
yeah,
I've seen them. I've seen Dark Order do a little bit of things on there recently. Like I don't remember how recent, not like a few days ago or something like that. But I'm just, yeah, for the most part, that's the last time
yeah.
I've seen them do something just off of me because I'm bouncing off of all over the place. I don't usually sit down and watch a bunch of TV. So
Oh, it's fine. Other people include like 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 the previously mentioned there's Andre Chase or Andre
mm,
Chance now. I don't it's
yeah,
what
that's right.
there's this other like mass wrestler by the name of Jervis Cottondelly or Gentleman Jervis.
Yes,
I
one of my buddies.
I um Chuck Taylor is one.
Oh yeah, Chucky Taylor.
I listen. There was one segment that I saw with Chuck. They would pretend that there was a segment that he pretended to pull the grenade and throw it in the ring in slow
Yeah,
mo.
yeah.
And
Everything blew up.
one of your aunts just like it's like I'm gonna take the ball.
Yeah.
Just pretend it was.
Yeah. No, those are, I'm telling you, those are great things seeing, we were really thinking outside the box at those times. So yeah, it was so much fun doing those things.
Oh my gosh. When I saw that, like that's like there's a there's no selling, but that's like being but no selling is some people say it's like over dramatic, but in this it's like being more realistic and like the theatrical with it, not
Yeah.
necessarily no sell, like
Yeah.
overselling. No, not no selling, overselling.
Yeah.
It's like being uh well, there's quite some more. Let's see here. Snitsky. You you
Hmm.
you,
Do I
you
Snitsky?
delirious?
Delirious
That
Snitsky?
that's right. That's
Yeah.
TNA. That was a TNA guy. Delirious. I know
Yeah.
the one-
Let me see.
him and was it Luchasaurus definitely have like similar masks, but there's a different tint of green in between the
Hmm.
both of them. I
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
doesn't it's kind of similar masks.
Yeah. Yeah. He looks
Uni
different.
Uni Lorkin or Biff Busick.
Oh
He,
yeah,
he's a,
yeah, yeah. When I wrestled him, his name was Francis, and he was like, "Oh, my name is Frank," and we did a whole match based off of that. That was great. I was like Rhode Island, I think it was something like that. Yeah.
Jimmy Jacobs.
Jim Jacobs, man, that's he's a mind that if you ever get a chance to like catch a seminar that he does or something like that, he's
Yeah,
such a great storyteller. It's
yeah,
it's almost scary. He's so good. I really enjoy him.
yeah, yeah, I've definitely and I've gonna have Jacobs on the show, on a feature date. That's what I'm kind of. it up. So I know he was a writer with WWE. He kind of posted a pic. The only thing I remember of Jimmy Jacobs is him being posting a picture of him with the Young Bucks, and then he got fired from WWE. Nowadays WWE, you would act, I feel like you wouldn't be they would be levied. It would be just be um decrease like the penalties involved.
Yeah,
They're always they're not pulling back the curtain with Unreal. Like it's like, you know what, we all know it's fake. How about we know the inner working? Let's where all of our stuff is made in a factory somewhere. Might as well come into the factory and go into the individual parts of the working parts of the factory.
yeah,
That's basically what the type of
but
that's basically what it.
always remember though, to me again, just like everybody else, uh, wrestling to me is it isn't fake. It's yeah, it's choreographed and
Yeah,
stuff, but it's more like a dance,
like
right? At the end of the
yeah,
day,
it
we always talk about bumps and bruises being real, and
yeah,
that's all very true. But at the end
yeah,
of the day, it's we're showing
yeah,
you another artistic form of entertainment, and
yeah.
to me, it's always been a
It's
dance, right? So yeah, like you know, there's there's nothing really fake about that, So and at the end of the day, we're high entertaining stuntmen, right? So
yeah,
yeah,
yeah. They're definitely quite a. There's a lot of other independent wrestlers. Under the Ultra Mantis.
mm,
That's another luchador. Well,
yeah, he's good.
there's
He's the
what is it? Oberion. I think that's his name.
Barion,
Oberion.
Barion,
Obarion.
yeah.
That's another luchador.
Yeah, Kodama and Obarian, the Batiri. Yeah, they're great. Really good
Yeah.
um,
This.
wrestlers that those guys are just there. If you talk about synergy, those guys are synergy. I absolutely love getting in the ring with them. They're great.
Well, you mentioned Jigsaw. Jigsaw is another luchador. He's
Yeah.
was it? I think there was another Chikara wrestler. What did Lucky 13 have a mask at one point?
Lucky 13.
I'm
That name sounds so familiar. I don't I don't know, but yeah, it's again that's been very very long ago now. So um
yeah,
off the top of my head, no,
it's
I don't
understandable.
remember.
Understandable. There's this guy that I met at a VCW show here in Virginia. This guy's
Hmm.
name is the Boar. I don't know if you heard of him. The
Yeah, yeah,
Proletarian Boar of Moldova. I think
yeah.
that's another. He he won the was it a tag team champion? He won the tag team championships
Mm.
with this independent wrestler named Erica Lee. They call themselves the Gummy
Oh,
Boar.
the gummy boar. Yeah, yeah.
And
Boar. Yeah. So Boar, he was a part of my that very first class that I went to Chikara. We were all classmates. Me, him, Mr. Touchdown. Uh, we all be kind of built this great relationship with one another, trying to always one up each other. So I know Boar very well. He's such a great person, a great human being, and he's such a great wrestler. He's so talented, especially for a guy his height, his weight class. This man, he runs it. He's so agile, so athletic. Yeah, and I saw the yeah Gummy Boar, and then they just not they won I believe the very first trios tournament that was happening
yeah,
at Power Pro Lucha in Philadelphia.
uh,
So
yeah.
yeah,
There's
along with Cheetah.
there's this there's another name that I met at a VCW show. Is I don't know if you heard of him. Rex Lawless,
Yeah, I know Rex Lawless. Yeah,
the pectoral
Rex.
Poseidon.
Yeah, that's
the
my son's favorite indie wrestler.
That guy, man,
He's great.
the physique on that man.
Hmm.
That's like I mean, he was on WWE television as a job to job out the Veer, but
Yeah.
I'm honestly surprised he's not contracted to any major company. Like I
Mm,
said to this about there's this guy named Papa the Greek god Papadon, and
mm,
I told him that he had a tenured career, that
yeah.
he he had like 27 years, he said, and he's like nearing the age of 50, and
Oh.
he's trying to like he's still doing it,
Mm,
still wrestling. And last time I went to an indie show here down in Virginia, he won they call this the Liberty Lottery match, Liberty
oh.
Lottery event. That's basically Virginia's Virginia Championship Wrestling version of the Royal Rumble.
Got it.
That's
Okay.
basically what it. So that's definitely good for him.
Yeah.
But definitely, definitely good for whatever they've done throughout their careers. With Boar, with Rex, with Papa Don,
Yeah.
they've all done good for themselves. It's it's unbelievable.
Yeah.
But
True that.
I'll let you off with one final question for you. Um, so out of out of everything with that you've accomplished throughout your career, and when you decide to get it up, like to pick up the boots and just put them on the hanger and to retire from wrestling altogether, what would you want to accomplish after you either retire or decide, like, you know what, let me take a break for a little bit, like
Mm.
you
What would I
are
do
for
outside of wrestling if I wasn't
yes.
wrestling? Got it. Well, I'm currently doing some stuff already, but one of the things that I probably would always love to do is I always wanted to give back and also pay forward. So I would probably love to continue doing like training kids who want to become professional wrestlers. That I think almost as a given, right? So that's one thing that I'm doing, and then another thing I'm doing, I'm currently doing right now, is that me and my wife, we have a print on demand business. We call it Breezy Butterfly Studios, and she does things on her end with pattern designing and all that stuff. I can't really get into that part. So, but for me, the part that I enjoyed doing the most was making um, low content books. So, like I've done things like I've made like coloring books for children. Uh, I have a bunch of those right there. I've other ones that I've done. I got over here as well. I got we did this. Dang, I forgot my password. This is a password log book in case people, just like doing it old school and just writing down
Yeah,
everything
that
that they.
the cover alone kind of reminds me of, was a JTG literally had a book. It's like, damn, why did I write this book?
Yeah,
The
yeah,
title
true that.
alone.
I made for for trainees, professional wrestling trainees. I've made
uh,
create a wrestler, wrestling journal for
ah,
everything that they could jot down so they could remind themselves, go back to it, and they could always pull back from the book, pull back from their wishing well of things in case they have a little bit of a mental block whenever they're trying to put together a match or whatever the case may be, right? Um, and we've done things like and we've done journals for men. I've done one
mm,
for men. We're currently still working on the process of doing one for the women. So this is his journal, and whenever guys need to put their thoughts down, because at the end of the day, like everybody could get stressed out, and people could fall ill to depression at any point in time. So I always wanted a spot for the men to take care of themselves, whenever need be. But yeah, we have a lot of these books on Amazon. Just look up Breezy Butterfly Studios. You'll find us there. We're on Etsy as well. We're doing some things on the side. You know what I mean? So,
yeah.
uh, but yeah, so far so good. Those are the things I would like to do just to help increase, my business with my wife, and also give back to the wrestling community by helping train the future of professional wrestling.
All right. I appreciate you coming on. I hope you heal.
Thank you.
Hope you get back into it when and keep having that passion.
Yeah.
And I wish you all the best, my man.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
Let's hope you colonize more of the professional wrestling journey.
Thank you.
See
Thanks for
what
having
I
me on
did?
this. I really appreciate it. Good luck with
No
all the
problem.
fights that you're doing. All right.
No problem.
Take it easy.
It's so that was the worker ant, the big blue bruiser. We will be right back after this short intermission. Oh, wait a minute. Wait a minute. Okay, good. All right. I will be back after this quick intermission. Well, we stop that. Well, you know, interviewing wrestlers definitely has to work out for you. But might as well deserve like a little munch or two. So I'm gonna do all right. Let's just make sure everything good. All right, I think we're good. Let me get like two more bites. A little potato skins, but all right. I think I'm ready. I think I'm ready. I think I'm ready. All right. Where's Sal? All right. Let's see. All right. So this to introduce the next guest at this time is a veteran of the ring. I may say that it's really redundant, but you know what? He's appeared in WWE. He has appeared in TNA. He has appeared in Ring of Honor. He has appeared in AEW. He has appeared numerous times for the NWA. He is making it. He's still killing it on the indie scene, and he's still at a high level. I recently just watched his match with not the old match with PJ Hawks and Colby Carino on NWA. I'm going to introduce the one who's also is either known as Sal the Rio, Sal the Pizza Boy, Sal the Pal, or Salvatore. Introducing Sal Rinauro.
Hey
How you
everybody,
doing, my
how's
man?
it going?
How you doing, my man?
I'm good. How about yourself?
Good. By chance, are you from California?
I am from California. That's where I'm billed from. Absolutely, yeah. Born and raised. It always entertains me when I'm introduced to Sal the Pizza Boy because that legend has lasted a lot longer than I only was Sal the Pizza Boy one time. Uh,
Really?
it was just a one-off thing that back in NWA Wildside, Jimmy Rave, who was my best friend, he was feuding with Tony Mamaluke, and the crowd used to chant, "Where's my pizza?" And so we did a thing where Tony's beating up Jimmy, he's on him, he's on him, he's on him, and the crowd's chanting, "Where's my pizza?" And I came out with a pizza, and distracted Tony and whatever. But yeah, it was just that one time. But that is, I mean, that was what 2002, and I've I've been introduced on so many places as Sal the Pizza Boy ever since.
Well, I had no idea. I was just losing off the prior gimmicks you had, or a couple of them.
Yeah.
So, I had no prior. I know I had prior idea, but that
Oh yeah,
was
no. It's
wrong.
all good.
Yeah, it has to be nostalgic to just be called that again, right?
Oh yeah, no. It's like I said, it was a one time thing that I never thought would. I thought it would kind of die that night. So every time it gets brought up, it makes me chuckle. Yeah, I mean, and plus, I mean, anytime I get a chance to be reminded about time spent with Jimmy and Tony Mamaluke's always a good thing. So
Well, you definitely are, I would say, a veteran of the ring. You've been through, was it like you said, NWA Wildside. So the NWA as a whole, you've gone quite a bit of history.
yes,
NWA, you you appeared in TNA,
yep.
Ring of Honor, and even appeared a couple times for WWE.
Yeah, I was on an episode of the ECW on Sci-Fi, so I like to refer to myself as an ECW original.
Well, it must have, for those major companies, even AEW even got you into
Yeah,
to have a
yep.
match. You've basically done it all.
Yeah, no, I tell people all the time, I'm genuinely blessed, man. I mean, especially when I broke in, long time ago, it was definitely the the business was definitely more geared to people of larger stature. I'm 5'7", at best 190 pounds, and I've used all of that to, I've been paid to travel the world. I've worked for every major company you can think of. I'm a very, very blessed guy.
Um, um, so tell me what it was like when you were doing those separate companies with WWE, TNA, Ring of Honor, which you've gotten to quite a few matches with, and with AEW, the
Yeah,
most recent.
yeah. I mean, it's one of those things. When I started to help train people years ago, before their matches, before like their first match, I'd go over to them and I'd kind of put my hand on their shoulder and ask them, are they nervous? Normally they say yes. And I'd slap them and go, why are you nervous? You've been training for this. This is everything you've worked hard for. Like, why are you nervous? Stop being nervous. Okay, okay, okay. And then I'd ask them again, hey, are you nervous? And they'd say no. And I'd slap them and go, what's wrong with you? We can break our neck walking to the ring. That's insane. But, I say all that to say, uh, it's such a surreal experience. Like I grew up as a fan. Like I never knew anything other than wanting to be a pro wrestler. And I tell people all the time, I grew up in the '80s in California, and I was introduced to pro wrestling by WWE. And Hulk Hogan was the guy that grabbed my attention, and Randy Savage is the guy that kept it. And so like probably my first 5 years as a wrestling fan, I didn't know any other world outside of WWE until I found Bill Apter magazines, and there's Ric Flair on the cover, covered in blood, and I was like, "What is this world?" And then I discovered that there was all these other places to, and I could not get enough. I would read about Memphis and Texas and Mid South, and just all these things. And so, for an opportunity to be as traveled as I am, and get to wrestle, and, be in the WWE locker room, and be in a Ring of Honor locker room, and a TNA locker room, and an AEW locker room, and be viewed as someone, like I'm amongst my peers and not just amongst my heroes, is still wild. I mean, it just baffles me to this day. And I try to tell, because I've been fortunate enough to, a lot of the guys that have come before me that I've gotten to know, like I tell them all the time, like how cool, like I legitimately like wanted to be just like you as a kid, or whatever. And I don't think, even the number of times I tell them, I think they think I'm messing with them, but like no, like it's as real as it gets, man. It's such a cool experience, getting to be back there and be viewed as someone that should be back there is it's very humbling. It's very cool. I I just I just love pro wrestling so much that like anything I get to do within it is still like crazy to me.
Yeah, I can definitely hear the feeling. I may not be a wrestler like yourself, but I can definitely feel the aura of how it must have
Yeah.
felt. I can imagine. But So the beginning of your career, before the pizza boy, or
Yeah.
the or you were just known in the business and kind of wrestle all these well-known guys that got onto major wrestling television. How was it like in the training process when you were first breaking out?
Yeah, man. So like I try to tell a lot of the people I kind of mentor or like get put under my wing now, which is crazy that that's a statement, but here we are. Uh, they definitely need to do. They're better if they do as I say and not as I did. You know, like I came up into pro wrestling probably the worst way possible. Like just everything that was wrong is what I was doing. So when I broke in, I had found I was 13 years old, and I had found a local indie show that was running 2 blocks from my house every Sunday. And at that, like I said, I'm 13 years old, and I already knew like, oh, I'm just gonna be a pro wrestler. That's that's the beginning, middle, and end. Like I tell this story a lot when I remember distinctly in first grade in Miss Bradbury's class, and she was going around like asking everybody what they wanted to be when they grow up. And little Timmy wanted to be a dentist, and little Michelle wanted to be a police officer, and little Bobby wanted to be a dinosaur, and I wanted to be pro wrestler. And Miss Bradbury said, well, little Bobby's got a better chance of being a dinosaur than you do being a pro wrestler. I go, wow, wow, that's not a very cool thing for you to say, Miss Bradbury, but I digress. Um, but yeah, so I found this local indie that was running, every other Sunday, 2 blocks from the house. So I would show up at 11 a.m. and just wait for anybody to show up and just kind of volunteer to help do whatever I could, set up chairs, set up the ring, cook the hot dogs, put programs on the seats, like whatever they needed done, just because like anything I could do to be a part of pro wrestling, I was willing to do. And we kind of, after a couple weeks of them doing this, we kind of worked out an agreement where like, well, if everything's done and there's time, I was allowed to get in the ring. And I'm in a pro wrestling ring, like, oh my god, right? So like, I don't know. I fortunately I picked up some stuff, I guess, just via osmosis. I watched so much pro wrestling that like nobody ever technically taught me how to do a collar and elbow tie up. Like I just seen so many times, guys lock up that like the first time I had to lock up, I just knew how to do it. First time I had to reverse a hammer lock, I kind of just knew how to do it. Like it definitely was fine tuned, but the mechanics of it I already comprehended. But it got to a point where like guys would get in the ring with me before shows, and instead of trying out new moves on people on the shows, they try it on the 13-year-old that's willing to do anything. So I'm 13 years old getting dumped on my head,
Oh,
thinking it's awesome, like you couldn't tell me nothing. Like it
yeah,
was the best.
yeah,
Because, guys wanted to try, a burning hammer because they saw masala tape or whatever.
yeah,
Um, and so I did that.
yeah,
That was kind of how life was for a year and a half. I'd show
yeah,
up every other week. I'd help put
yeah,
up the ring. I'd help do whatever, and then I'd get to go in the ring and get beat up for, an hour and a half.
yeah,
And then finally one day, I was there, and the guy running the show pulled me to the side, and he goes, "Hey, would you be interested in being in a battle royal tonight?" I was like, "Oh my god! Like, is that even a question?" He goes, "Yeah, we're short on guys, but we're gonna have to put
yeah,
you under a hood, blah blah blah."
yeah,
I'm like,
yeah.
"Dude, you can put me under a
Oh,
blanket. I don't care.
I,
Like,
that's it.
whatever."
And that was
And
your debut.
that was my first match. Yeah,
Oh my
I was
god.
introduced to Snake Man that night, and yeah, I mean, but and I just kind of haven't stopped since. Shortly after that, because at that point, I'm 15 years old, but I was already on my own.
Yeah.
So just because I was, as a 15-year-old, I was the smartest person on the planet. I knew, like, well, WCW's got the cruiser.
Wait a minute. Um. Then it's it's ago. You're
Is that
working
anything?
now. It's working. Okay. It's I don't
Yeah.
that had that right in front of right when you were talking. It's this. It's
No,
that's
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 weird.
what it's that.
Yeah, sorry about that. Where was I?
Okay.
Oh yeah, no. So at 15 years old, I got a friend to rent me a U-Haul, and I drove cross country and moved to Georgia because that's where the power plant was. That's where WCW was, and
Oh.
I was going to move to I was going to move to Atlanta. I was going to beat Rey Mysterio for the cruiserweight title, and that's unfortunately, like, and that's where like the NWA Wildside tie-in comes in, because I moved here, and NWA Wildside at the time was the WCW developmental. So I got on there, and I say all the time, if WCW would have lasted one more year, uh, I don't think I'd have won the cruiserweight title, but I definitely would have at least got like a Saturday night squash match or something.
So you drove when you were a young kid. You moved to Atlanta right where the WCW power plant was,
Yeah.
and they're saying you were going to win the cruiserweight title.
Oh no, I mean that was just what my thought process was. Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah, no, I'll just,
I
I'll
was like,
just
hold
show.
on a minute.
Yeah, no, I'll just
Oh,
show up and win the title, right? That's how you do
oh.
it.
So did you actually go to the power plant?
I went to the power plant a couple times, actually. Yeah, the first time I just kind of showed up uninvited or whatever, and they kind of like, I was 15, so they wouldn't let me pass the front door. Really, I wasn't old enough to do anything. But the last year it was running, I was able to go train for a couple days because the Wild
Mm.
Stone connection. That was really cool. And then like at that time I was also working for Dusty Rhodes, who started Turnbuckle Championship Wrestling in Georgia,
Hmm.
and Bill Barons helped me get on some of those shows. So like I kind of had a connection with Dusty, which is a crazy thing to say.
Yeah.
Uh, but yeah, so I did get to go to the power plant a couple times, and I mean I did 8 million squats and thought I was going to throw up, and
Yeah,
got
there was
got,
yeah,
got to
even
bump
there
in
was
the ring a couple times.
yeah, there was what was it? I don't know if you was it there was I think there at the power plant there was an interviewer that actually went to the power plant, and I think the guy Dwayne Bruce. I don't know if you met him when you guys.
Yes.
Yes. I think he literally made the interviewer throw up when he was like it was like a drill sergeant
Yeah, no,
to the
yeah, no, that was
that
Sarge.
kind of stuff.
Yeah, I've actually I've got to wrestle Sarge since then. Which is again, this is the same guy that trained, so many guys that went through the power plant,
Like
most notably Goldberg, obviously.
yeah,
But
Kevin
yeah,
Nash,
yeah,
yeah, those people.
yeah,
Like that's a definitely interesting history that you definitely could put it on the mantelpiece, or just write in some sort of like like some sort of journal. Like you could
absolutely.
say that I was like if I like a technicality that I was probably would have been a WCW superstar if you would
Yeah,
have
no,
actually was
yeah,
if it
no,
were
like I say, if it lasted one more year, I definitely would have at least got to wrestle on Saturday night, which would have been, you know, crazy. That would have been all, that's one of those, bucket list things that unfortunately can never be checked off. But yeah, just, like kind of rubbing elbows with it in any facet is really cool to look back on and say I did.
well, um you've like you said with NWA Wildside, like NWA, you've wrestled for countless times. I know there's different NWA territory, like different types of companies back then.
Yes.
Then early, like they just recently brought the territories back a couple years ago. The
Yep.
territory system. Like I think EC3 was one of the owners or promoters of it.
Yeah.
The end of yeah, the NWA. How did how does it how did it feel like when you like NWA was basically the pinnacle, like the what's the word, prognatier of pro wrestling. Without WWE, it was there would be no
Yes.
WWE. There would no be TNA. There would not be maybe even though Ring of Honor was not part of NWA, like WCW and ECW were. Like all those companies, they wouldn't have they wouldn't have existed without the NWA.
Oh yeah. Well, that's
What I'm trying to ask, how was it wrestling for the NWA
I mean, it was
as a whole?
always, yeah. I mean, just and uh, yeah. Tell by my shirt, I'm still associated. I still work for the NWA. All these years later, which is kind of a very cool full circle thing for me because my first real break came from NWA Wildside. And it's just one of those things that, like, if you would have told 8-year-old Sal, like, oh yeah, man, like you're gonna have a long run in the NWA, and like you're gonna get to do, because like I didn't just do Wildside, I did Wildside predominantly, but I wrestled for quite a few NWA territories before, the Lightning One era when Billy bought it and made it the national force that it is today. Uh, if you would have told 8-year-old Sal, like, yeah, man, you're gonna be associated with the NWA for a long time, I would have, told you you're a liar. And like I said, that's where I discovered that there was a world outside of WWE as a kid, was the After magazine, seeing a Bloody Flair, and like, you know, that is so like that was my first exposure to anything
Yeah,
outside of what WWE was producing was the NWA. This is pre WCW.
yeah,
This is so like uh it's always it's such a very very cool thing to think about, like, man, like it's the oldest governing body in the history of professional wrestling, and like I've had a 25 plus year career that's got ties to the NWA for all of it. That's really like I think it's awesome. Both the wild side and the territories, and then with what we're doing now with Billy Corgan and our show on Comet TV and all that stuff. It's really cool to have that association.
Yeah, NWA had like its own Roku channel. Like that was for a brief period. That's why I remember watching that a little bit. But have you ever actually have you ever gotten a chance to meet with Billy Corgan?
I will. So I'm right now. I'm a producer for the NWA. So I mean, I talked to Billy. One of my favorite stories is because I don't know if you know this, I was the very first match in the history of NWA Power. I was in it. And it's one of those where I had gotten invited probably just a couple days before. They were filming in Atlanta, and I had reached out once before and got nothing. And then the first set of tapings was on a Monday, Tuesday. The Friday before that, I get a call like, "Hey, can you be in Atlanta?" Like, absolutely. So I do the first set of tapings, and nothing really comes of it. Like there's no feedback or anything. And I was like, okay, well, at least I got to do it. And then I get a call back for the next set of tapings, and I was like, all right, that's awesome. So at the second set of tapings, I'm in the back. This is early in the day, and Caleb Conley walks up, and Caleb's someone I've known for forever. And I mean, like, I think I was like his 7th match or something. I've known him since, basically he was in my shoes as a teenager, so like I've just known him for a long time. So we're just talking, chatting it up, catching up or whatever. And I see Billy walking in our direction, and he's kind of, laser focused on where we are. And I'm like, okay, well, Billy's going to come over here to talk to Caleb about something. So I kind of take a half step back so he can jump in and tell Caleb whatever he's got to. And so Billy walks up, and then he turns his back to Caleb and looks directly at me. And he goes, "Hey, Sal, do you have a minute?" And in my brain, I was like, this dude knows my name? Like, what is happening right now? And he was like, "Hey, if you don't mind, like, I'm interested in doing some character work with you, I'm like, yeah, that would be awesome, And I've been with him full time ever since.
Oh, and that to be a producer role, that's definitely working a little bit closer with Corgan himself. So that's definitely, even like when Billy Corgan, before the NWA was bought, and like as the new owner of NWA, he wasn't before he came into and was the CEO of NWA. He wasn't he didn't step his toe into professional wrestling, but I can tell he has like a passion for the business and respect for the business.
Yeah, and that's one thing that it's his vision of what pro wrestling is doesn't necessarily match everybody's, especially online, and that's fine. But like, I hear it in his voice, and like these things, I have regular conversations with him, so it's not just like a one-off. Like, he's a fan first. I mean, he genuinely loves pro wrestling. This is not just some guy that showed up to, I can make some quick money off pro wrestling. Like, the amount of time here's a great example. We just did the anniversary show, the 78th anniversary of the NWA. It was 2 Saturdays ago at the ECW Arena. Billy is in the middle of rehearsal because they're getting ready to do another world tour with the Smashing Pumpkins. And Billy rehearsed on Friday, jumped in the jumped in the private jet Saturday morning, came, did the show. As soon as the last match got out of the ring, jumped back on the jet and flew home so he could be at rehearsal on Sunday, right? Like, his handlers, his people were not okay with him doing this, but like, he wasn't going to miss this one, like he's not going to miss the anniversary show. So, even though his advisors were like, no, you got the tour to get ready for, he's like, nope, I'm going to do my show. And, he was locked in. It's not like he was distracted by his music when he walked in the door till the time he walked out. It was pro wrestling. He was locked in on what we were doing and what goals we were trying to achieve that night. And that's it's funny when I read people who don't know Billy, when I read them say things. Not that I know Billy great, but I mean I know him well enough to, when I see people kind of just say Billy's like a throwaway guy or whatever. Like, no, Billy genuinely loves and appreciates pro wrestling.
Yeah. Like there was two people. I think like when WCW brought in David Arquette to win the world title, and but he actually ended up wrestling in the indie scene. Also with there's recent edition of Paul Walter Hauser.
Yeah.
He was an actor turned wrestler.
Yeah, I just
wrestled on the occasion.
Yeah, I just wrestled Paul Walter Hauser not too long ago. Which was a crazy experience just because Paul Walter Hauser, like, dude, you got a Golden Globe and you were in, Fantastic Four. Like, what are you doing here? But no, Paul's awesome, and I still touch base with Paul every once in a while. And he's doing some great work over there with MLW right now. So, yeah, Paul's a great dude, and like David Arquette when the NWA 70th anniversary show in Nashville, David Arquette was there. And when we were doing our TV tapings at Skyway Studios in Nashville, David Arquette would pop in every once in a while. So, yeah, I mean, those are guys that are pro wrestling fans. They just happen to have really cool jobs. But, Billy and Paul and Arquette, all those guys, man, like like David Arquette took all his WCW earnings and gave it to, the families of Brian Pillman, things like that. Like, that's not so, like he's not in it for the money. He didn't take the money, so yeah, I mean, sometimes I'll read, these people get knocked for whatever. Oh, you're just a musician. Oh, you're just an actor or whatever. Like, no, you're a wrestling fan, and that, like we all are.
Like with Conor McGregor bashing WWE, he's like, y'all now real fight. Basically, like he's a UFC fighter, and now with WWE and UFC under the same umbrella, talking about all this about like all the criticisms of WWE. If he would probably have a receipt coming if he ain't careful.
Yeah, it's funny because Conor is a guy who's incredible fighter, but his persona is built on the back of what pro wrestlers do. He does the Vince McMahon walk, and he cuts the promos before the fights and stuff. It's all pro wrestling. It's just maybe the fighting styles are different or whatever, but like at the end of the day, Conor's popularity is based more on the character that he is than the fighter that he is, and that's all just pro wrestling work.
And I guess that's because that's why he's the draw.
Yes.
I guess even though you're not likable on screen, that could definitely mesh with the audience. And probably definitely work into that and like shoot that. It's if you will. When you were training, what were the main idols that you were growing up? I was like, Well, I'm
Well,
definitely want to be wrestler after watching it.
yeah, so like I said, Hogan's the one that drew my interest, but Savage is the one that kept me. So like obviously Randy Savage, like that was my dude. Like I love Randy Savage, and then fast forwarding, like I was at WrestleMania 12, and when Shawn Michaels, like I was a Shawn guy before that, but like watching Shawn Michaels win his first world title, that was kind of like
And
it was donezo
that
for me
was
at that
that
point.
was the Iron Man match, I believe, right?
Yes, yes,
It
yes.
was it
Yep.
was
Uh,
Sean and Brett.
Don and Brett. Yep. Arrowhead Pond, Anaheim, March 31st, 96. Yeah, I mean, so like those are, I mean, there's hundreds of more, but like those are the first two that like Macho Man and Shawn Michaels are like my guys. Like those are my probably my two favorites, and I can't tell you which one I like more. It literally just depends on what way the wind's blowing, and if it's an odd number or even number of time. It just uh, they're both so good in so many ways. So like those are definitely two that like inspire me. I mean, to this day, still like they like inspire me. Continue, and then like I said, like also a guy like a Rey Mysterio who, when that cruiserweight division hit, and I was, because I knew, I wasn't going to be 6'2", 250, and then I see that cruiserweight division hit, and I was like, oh, there's my in, and I see a guy like Rey Mysterio, who, 5'3", 165 pounds, but like awesome. Like, how could you not one day, how could I not see that and
Yeah.
be like, yeah, no, that's
Yeah.
that good stuff.
Yeah. Well, I knew I brought up earlier that NWA used to be on what had a Roku channel.
Yes.
Ironically enough, there's a little obscure. I found a little obscure thing that we actually both have Roku
Oh,
TVs.
awesome.
I saw the little
Yeah.
little Roku TV off
Yeah,
to the
no, right off to
side.
the
So I was
side.
like,
Yeah.
wait, ironic thing I brought it up. It's just a
That's
little thing to
awesome.
kind of note there. Well, so throughout when you started in the business up until now, you've wrestled many notable names in the business. Like I could list them off now. People like um, CM Punk,
Yeah.
Bryan Danielson, like you said, Jimmy Rave, Roderick Strong, Johnny Swinger, Homicide, Sami Zayn, Konga Kong, who's a indie guy, T.J. Perkins, and Damian Priest, Matt
Yeah.
M Dog or Matt Cross, like those types of Tyrus, who used to
Yeah.
be the NWA champion, which
Yep.
was really controversial. But you know what? I guess that's why he's on Fox News. But yeah,
Yes.
you know what? Yeah, that's my. But there's quite a. Oh, sorry,
Oh, yeah, I was just saying,
I
yeah, I know the Tyrus thing was controversial, but like I was able to have this conversation with him. So when my youngest son was born, one of the first wrestlers he liked was the Funkasaurus. You know,
ah,
and like I remember, I mean, he could barely even walk at the time, but that Tyrus song, the Brodus Clay Funk is on a Roll song was his like I mean that
and that was
he get up and dance and sing to it. So like when Tyrus came to
and the
NWA,
Funkadactyls.
yeah, yeah. So when Tyrus came in, I kind of like, I always saw him through different lenses just because like he had such a positive effect on my son. Uh, Tyrus and I like Tyrus. Yeah, people are free to make their own opinions, but like as someone that's gotten to sit down and break bread with Tyrus and have conversations with him, whether not even necessarily on a political level, just on a human to
Yeah,
human level. Like
like
I I have nothing but respect for Tyrus, and like
course.
he's always been way better to me than maybe I even deserved at that point, just
Mhm.
because he didn't even know me, but he treated me as if I was someone that he had known for a long time. So like in my world, Tyrus is, he's good people. I can't say enough nice things about him.
And that's definitely respectable. You know, you know, like the same thing with sure he was a good like how say what you want about Logan Paul, like what he did in the past, but in the ring he's a good wrestler. I can give it that. That's the same sentiments I gave Logan Paul. I give Logan Paul. Like that type of thing.
Yeah,
And quite a couple other wrestlers like some like I may be just mouthing in this off, but like Eddie, like Brian Pillman. Brian Pillman did that infamous scene where he pulled the Pillman's got a gun type of the segment
yep,
that literally just cut the feed. That was just his character, but that was just poorly executed, kind of at the wrong time. Like the same with Muhammad Hassan character, but the guy behind it who was portraying as Muhammad Hassan, like those types of people, like
yeah,
that it's just kind of bad timing type of thing. But in regards to Tyrus, this, where no matter where you lean on, as long as I can respect you if you have the same work ethic in the ring and can win people over. You know,
no,
that's I can have that respect.
yeah, no. And like I said, I mean, Tyrus is always he was always willing to teach and had time for me, and I mean, I really think he helped open up doors for me in the NWA by accepting me. So like I said, I've got nothing but positive vibes and thoughts when it comes to Tyrus.
Well, there's definitely like this, like when I run down these like throughout the your years in wrestling, like there's this website like cagedunch.net that literally documents all like the wrestlers matches and like their gimmicks. That's how I got this little list of opponents that you wrestled, like people like Sabu,
Yeah,
Ace Steel,
yeah,
Samoa Joe,
yeah,
Aaron Stevens, who
yeah,
used to be in the NWA, John Schuyler, who I believe is in TNA.
yeah. Currently in
It's
TNA.
Colby Carino, which you got to wrestle.
Yeah, no,
Well, obviously, I've seen the match with you and PJ Hawks, Luke Hawks' son.
yeah. Who I mean, I've wrestled both the Hawkses multiple times. Yeah, but no, Colby's another one who I was actually his first night in the NWA. Like Colby and I have built a really good friendship since he started at NWA. He's one of the guys that I'm not gonna say I've mentored because I mean 9 times out of 10 he's teaching me stuff, but like
Like,
I
like
kind of
taking inspiration, basically, not
well, yeah,
mentoring.
yeah. I mean, I just kind of, when he first came in, I kind of looked out for him. We had a mutual friend in Jimmy Rave, and so I kind of looked out for Colby, and he's just one of those guys that I love that kid, and I keep he we actually in Philadelphia he was my roommate. Uh, And when I got in the day before, because with the producers, I have to come in early because I've got meetings first thing in the morning. So, I had an issue getting into my room or whatever. So I had messaged him just like, hey, man, you here yet? And he was like, no, I don't come in until tomorrow. And I was like, they're having problems at the front desk getting the room key. And he goes, well, is there anything I can do to help? And I go, yeah, actually, if you could get me booked against your dad, that would really help. So, but that's just kind of my relationship with Colby. I love Colby Carino to death, man.
There's There's definitely a laundry list, like the rest Effie, who was
Yeah.
the internet champion. Our Ron Killings, our Truth, Matt and Mike Siddell.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Both-
I was just talking about Matt Seidel a couple days ago because one of my friends or whatever was asking me about, oh, do you know this guy? Do you know this guy? And yeah, I've kind of met everybody that's anybody on any major platform I've probably at least met. And he was like, well, what about Evan Bourne? I was like, buddy, I was wrestling Evan Bourne years and years ago. And
like you do realize Matt Seidel is Evan Bourne.
yeah. Uh, yeah, no. So yeah, no. I love another one. He's one of those guys that we don't see each other often, but when we do, we pick up right where we left off. And that's he's he's such good people, man. I love Matt.
Yeah, even some people like Chris Sabin,
Yeah,
Prince Nana,
yeah,
Matt Hardy.
yeah.
There's Eddie Kingston.
It's such a wide variety of people, right?
Yes.
Like it's crazy.
Yes.
I mean, and it's like I said, I'm extremely blessed to. I mean, you just you run through this laundry list of guys. There's so many more.
Like the Briscoes.
Oh yeah, the Briscoes when the last time we had them at NWA. This is right before they showed up. No, I guess they'd already. I know the match with FTR had already been announced, but we were doing a thing at NWA where Matt Taven and Mike Bennett were there, and after their match, we were jumping them, and the Briscoes were making the save. And
I believe that's the Undisputed Kingdom, right? Matt Taven and Mike Bennett.
Yeah. And Mark and Jay, I mean, we've known each other since we were teenagers. I mean, when you go back to 01, 02 or whatever, they were coming down to NWA Wildside, and then I was breaking in up north. So we ran into each other a lot, So like we just one of those things where like I've known these dudes forever, but we were getting ready to go. We're beating up Taven and Bennett. Briscoes are making the save, and they're like, "Hey, well, what do you want to do?" And I was like, "Oh, whatever we do, it's got to be safe because I'm so excited for this match with FTR. Like, I don't, I don't care about me. I just want to see this Briscoe brothers FTR match."
Yeah.
But those, like it's funny. My youngest son, who's the biggest wrestling fan in the house, almost.
Mm-hmm.
And I told him before that weekend, like, oh yeah, the Briscoe brothers are coming to NWA. And I mean, keep in mind, I've got really good relationships with a lot of people that you see weekly on television, right? Like, I mean,
was it AJ Styles?
Yeah. I mean, but so I've got these relationships, and and my son just kind of brushes them off almost like like Xavier Woods in my house is Uncle Austin, right? Like that's just their kid's uncle, right? Like it doesn't make, but like I told him the Briscoes were coming, and he was like, "No way, you don't know the Briscoes." And I was like, "Dude, this is where you draw the line, like." So when I was there, I was telling them about it. I was telling Mark and Jay about, yeah, my son lost his mind when he found out you guys were going to be here. And they're like, well, let's shoot a video for him. And so like I've got a video of Mark and Jay and me, that we sent to my son, and unfortunately that was the last time I saw Jay. But like it's one of those pieces of one of those little pieces of history that a little personal thing that I have that I'll always get to cherish.
There was one here that's even there's a female wrestler, Mickey Knuckles, the deathmatch wrestler. He is well, well, Sal, your camera froze or your camera died. Sal, um, uh, oh boy, um, oh boy, did his phone die? Is that what happened? Oh boy. Um, wait a minute, what happened? I'm wondering what happened here. Sal? Um, what happened? Hold on, what happened? What did his phone die? Hold on, uh what happened? Did his phone overheat or wait, what happened? Did your what did
My
your
phone died.
ah
Yeah.
okay, I figured that like because you were in you were still and I was like, wait, what happened? Like am I wait
Yeah, no,
like
I didn't
wait.
realize I didn't realize the battery was so low. Sorry about that.
Oh, okay, that's fine. That's fine. That's completely fine. But yeah, I know I just brought up the name Mickey Knuckles, and then you just froze in
Yeah,
in
because I'm still afraid of Mickey.
yeah, yeah. That's a lot. It's just so I guess that's a general camaraderie between all wrestlers. Like it's like I know you. Like I've gotten a professional and possibly a personal bond with them. Like I know them the back of my hand. Not the back of my hand, like literally, but you know what
Yeah.
I mean. It's the
Yeah,
camaraderie of it.
no, it's one of those things that like, wrestling is such a weird brotherhood, sisterhood, whatever label you want to
Yeah,
put on it, where like, at the end of the day, we are all in love with the same thing, right? Like
yeah,
we all love pro wrestling. So like that's one thing I love about pro wrestling is it doesn't matter what your gender is or what your background is or what your socioeconomic placement is. Like,
yeah,
like wrestling's for everybody. There's something
yeah,
in wrestling that, and if you're a wrestling, if you're in the business, then like
yeah,
you and all these other people have that one thing in common no matter what, like so sometimes you can bump heads,
yeah,
sometimes you don't have to like
yeah,
somebody, but like
yeah. But you got to work together.
but you still there's still that modicum of respect that like we're all going through the same struggle in
Hmm.
the facet of pro wrestling, so like it's a very bonding experience.
Yeah. I know this the Mark and myself. I brought the name CM Punk, which was one of the people that you wrestled.
Yeah.
And this is my favorite wrestler, by the way. Do you have any memories about that you could tell about or anything that you could say about you with your camaraderie with Punk?
So my yes, so I actually Punk told me something years ago that so when I first started getting kind of my indie buzz, just outside of Georgia, it's because my best friend was Jimmy Rave, and Jimmy and Punk had developed a really good friendship. So by proxy, Punk and I became friends. And Punk had, and at the time, this is '04, where he's like the king of the indies, right? Like
Yeah.
he's the guy on the indies that like everybody kind of wanted to be in those shoes. So, I would
Yeah.
try to pick his brain as often as I could. And he had volunteered to, hey, if you send me a match, I'll watch it, tell you what I think, whatever, whatever, whatever. Like, all right, cool, man. And every time I did, he had something for me, which was awesome. And then he gets signed in '05, and he's still like, hey, if you send me something, I'll still critique it or whatever. Like, oh, okay, man,
Yeah.
thanks.
Yeah.
And so that
Even
happens. And then in '06, he gets called up to the main roster, and he's still, it's not immediate, but if I ask for advice, he gives it to me. '07, he wins the world title. Same thing, like I asked for advice, he's got it for me. And so finally, fast forward to like '08, '09, where like he's the guy, like
like he's the world champion.
yeah, like he's the guy. And I'm like, hey man, what do I owe you? Like, you've given me all this free advice, like, can I buy you a video game or like dinner? Or like, well, what can I do to repay you?
Yeah.
Like I genuinely appreciate everything you've done for me. Uh, and he goes, all you, all I ask of you is to pay it forward. And like, I don't know how many other people he told that to, but to me, like I took that to heart. And that's one of the reasons why, like, I love the producer role that I have at NWA because like I genuinely, anytime I get the opportunity to take the lessons I've learned and pay it forward to someone else, like it's because Punk, did that for me when he had the only thing, the only correlation Punk and I had was because we had a mutual friend, right? Like he could have just blown me off and that could have been it, but like he didn't at all. He was very generous with his time. He was very generous with his knowledge, and so like that's one of that's almost like one of
Yeah.
the building blocks I still
Yeah.
stand on to
Yeah.
this day is like, you know, if someone needs something, if someone cares enough to ask, like I will never be too busy to help at some point, I mean, it might not be in the
Yeah.
moment, but
Yeah.
if Punk had time for me, then I've got time for anybody asking.
Well, I know Punk likes to blur the lines in between, like to blur the lines between real and fake. Well, nowadays, because when he talks, he just likes to talk from he doesn't like basically goes off of a script, like with the pipe bomb.
Yeah.
Like like when you were still sending you advice, like when he pulled that pipe bomb promo, like I bet he was still sending that advice, probably even to this day. I bet, like since he's world champion now,
Yeah.
he's it. That's does I my asking is, was he? I don't know, because you said you were friends with him through via Jimmy Ray. God rest his soul. But was he like to blur the? Did he like to blur the lines between kayfabe and like real? Like let me real talk. Oh, let me talk. Like was he the like was he
To me, well, to me, he was always him, right? Like, now does that mean that sometimes he was blunt and, everything he said was, nice and friendly. No, I mean,
Of
there were
course
very
not.
much times he would say stuff where it's like, come on, dude, like that's just hurtful, But like in my world, Punk's always been Punk. He's always been he's pretty much been the same guy since I've met him until, today, where like you kind
Yeah.
of know what you get, and he might not be everybody's cup of tea. And some people don't like that he can be abrasive, or
Yeah.
he tells it as he sees it and not necessarily what you want to hear.
Yeah.
But I mean, it, punk's punk, like
Yeah.
you kind of what you see is what you get, man.
Yeah. Yeah.
But like I said,
That's
he
it.
he
Oh,
he took
yeah.
more than enough time to he, he was always giving with me, and he's always willing to share, and I just that
Yeah.
speaks a lot to me as what kind of person he is, so
Yeah. Yeah.
he's another one of those
Yeah.
guys that
So,
not, he might not be for everybody. Like I
yeah.
said, I'm pretty sure there's plenty of people that don't like Punk for whatever reason. I'm not one of those people. I've got nothing but great things to say about CM Punk.
Yeah. Yeah, love him or hate him. There's a quote, there's that promo. He said, "I'm not here to make friends. I'm here to make money." But you know what?
Absolutely.
I mean, he'll take like he said later on. He'll take friends on along the way, uh,
Yes.
if that's possible. But so more towards NWA, like you said, you were a producer for it. Um, you just discussed about your correspondence with Billy Corgan. There's one person that kind of comes to mind for what some reason. There's this the commentary team. Obviously went to you've gotten to know the people like the announcers and the commentary, and probably some of the ring boys that bring them like seeing them before the show. There's one name that's pretty controversial in the wrestling scene. That guy that worked for NWA, who was on the cans. Jim Cornette. Have you
Yes.
got? Have you ever gotten to meet him
Yeah,
when you went
so I
to?
mean, I was fortunate enough, even before NWA had started, I've I've done some shows with Jim Cornette, and I actually did a match where Jim Cornette was my manager. So like,
Oh,
yeah, like yeah, I mean, I've met, and again, Cornette's one of those guys that like he's not everybody's cup of tea, but his place in pro wrestling speaks for itself. You don't get called legendary just because a couple people like you, right? Like, I mean,
yeah,
he's got such a laundry list of things that he's accomplished, and he's just such a fountain of knowledge when it comes to the inner, just all of pro wrestling. I find every conversation I've ever had with him just fascinating, right? Like, um, I'm such a big fan of Smoky Mountain Wrestling. And that was Cornette's company, right? That's
yeah,
so like whenever I get the chance, I try to get whatever I can out of, whatever Smoky Mountain Wrestling stories I could get from him. I'm more than willing to, just sit me down and start talking, like just go, Jim, let me know, let me know when you're done.
yeah,
So yeah. I mean, I've met James Cornette, and I like him, and eh, he's very opinionated. He sees pro wrestling as he sees it, and there's not a lot of wiggle room there. And some people don't like that, and that's okay. I personally, I'm very accepting of what he, how he. I accept that this is how he views pro wrestling, and I love his take on it.
mhm. Yeah. Well, now I gotta ask. I know we lost a recent a legend of the ring. That was like worked in the NWA back then. Um, Dory Funk Jr. We
Yeah.
recently lost. Have you ever met Dory Funk Jr.?
Yeah, so Dory Funk Jr. and Bill Behrens, who ran NWA Wildside, Bill had worked with Dory, and I don't know this for sure, but I think Dory was Bill's favorite wrestler. So like Bill had brought Dory into Wildside, and conversely, at the time, Dory was still running. He was running his company down in Ocala, Florida, and we did a couple talent exchanges. And fortunately, I was one of the guys that got to go down and work at Dory's school. You know, I got to do a couple shows for Dory, and more recently, he I guess what year? I guess it was last year. We were doing an NWA taping in Tampa, and Dory came by. So yeah, I mean, I've been fortunate enough to shake that man's hand and thank him and let him know how appreciated he was, at least in the Rinuaro household. So yeah, it's it's part of I get that it's all of life, but pro
Yeah.
wrestling is such a tight knit community that when you
Yeah.
lose a legend like that, it kind of gives you kind of gives you a minute to reflect and you know
Yeah.
again, like, I mean, how lucky am I that I've had a relationship with Dory Funk Jr.? Like, that's crazy.
Yeah. And then what's even crazier, I think it was back in 24, he had a match, I think in Japan
Yeah,
alongside Atsushi Onita when he then
yeah,
that in some sort of match like that. I know Atsushi Onita was the founded was it for martial arts wrestling, which
yeah,
was like
that's
a
right.
deathmatch promotion,
Yep.
like a
Yeah, no.
Japanese style promotion. So
Yeah, no.
that's crazy. At the age in his late 70s, he was able to still wrestle.
He was still going
Along
at
with
it. Yeah, that's
Atsushi Onita. Like,
yeah. Yeah, I mean, it's
uh,
just that's a man that you'll never have to question. Did Dory Funk Jr. love pro wrestling? Because I mean, that was in his blood, man. He was tried and true, man.
yeah. One more question before I let you go, Sal. Then let you have the rest of your day there in California.
Yeah.
Um, whenever you do, I'm not saying it's in the near future. Whenever you do race up the pair of boots and just put them over the mantle place, what would you want to do when you eventually retire from in-ring competition?
Well, fortunately, I've kind of already laid the groundwork for that. Like, I don't ever see me getting out of pro wrestling. I mean, in the ring, obviously. I mean, my the end is a lot closer than the beginning at this point. But
Yeah.
you know, this producing job that I've got with the NWA is such a wonderful opportunity where I'm able to work with so many people that uh I don't want to say they need, but they're just younger and they haven't had the
Yeah.
opportunities that I've had. So getting to teach them and put them under the learning tree, and there's a lot that goes into the role of producer, more than I even realized when I got the job. But it's such a cool experience because now it's not just as a pro wrestler, it's always the pressure's on me, but I don't melt under pressure, so like let's go. But now when you're putting together matches, especially like I get to work pretty closely with Kylie and Kenzie Page, who are at this point they're kind of like my pro wrestling daughters. They're
Yeah, Kenzie
uh,
Kenzie
I
Page
love.
was even champion NWA.
Yeah, I know. Yeah, no. Uh, they're just but getting to watch them go through the early stresses I went through and tried to talk them through that, and then helping them put together their matches or whatever, and then just the experience of sitting in the booth and like it's almost as nerve-wracking. It's almost more nerve-wracking watching them, because you want so bad for their vision to become truth that but it's such an exhilarating rush when it does, when again, like so we just had Natty Neidhart in for the anniversary show, and Natty wrestled Kenzie and Kylie, so I was able to produce that match. And just getting to be a little part of that and watching it just be so, I mean, it was so good. And I can't wait for the world to get to see that match when it airs on Comet TV. But knowing everything that the girls put into that match and then watching the end results is almost more fulfilling than anything I've personally ever done in a wrestling ring.
Sorry about that, Sal. Sometimes real life blends into things.
Yeah,
Like
I
you.
got you.
But yeah, I appreciate you. I know. When you told me that, we recently got. I know he recently saw the retirement of Brock Lesnar, so that's
Yeah.
why I asked that, because Brock Lesnar, like, we thought that people said, oh, he's going to retire in Minnesota, oh, he's going to retire in next year's WrestleMania, and now he retired like almost unceremoniously, but it was expected in a way. So, but
Yes.
that's where I was at.
Yeah, no, and like I said, I'm a lifer. I mean, it's just at this point it's in my blood, and I'll always have some kind of something to do in pro wrestling because I want to, because like it still makes me happy. And when it stopped, when it's not fun anymore, when I don't like it, then I need to walk away. But I mean, I think today I love pro wrestling just as much as I did when I was 15 years old, coming to Atlanta to try to get on at the power plant, so yeah, I just once the boots are hung up, which like I said, is a lot closer than it is further, but once the boots go up and once the tights are no longer getting thrown on, I'm still going to be involved in pro wrestling uh because it's my favorite. It's just what I do.
All right. So I appreciate you coming on. It's, it's. I'm just grateful to have the privilege of talking to you.
No, thank
I,
you. I appreciate you.
I, you go enjoy yourself there in California.
Yes, sir.
All right, all right. Now you have a good one now.
All right, Kyle, you too. Thank you, friend.
No, no problem, Sal. And there you have it. We got Worker Ant and Sal Rinauro. And next week, next day on Friday, I'm gonna see here. We got Murphy Madsen. We got, that's confirmed here, Matt Turner and Mickey Knuckles. Previously mentioned Mickey Knuckles. So Jimmy, and then on Monday, we got to see him this little back to back. Jimmy Jacobs, Monster Mac, and Joey Legend, if there's a subject to change. August 12th, Ryan Cruz. Friday on August 14th, Sexy Eddie. And August 17th, we've got WOW superhero Island Girl Kalaki. And probably more to come. So, thank you guys so much for watching. I'll see you guys in the next podcast episode. Peace out.